Assalamualaikum and good day. Today I would like to present the research titled Carbon Emissions, Economic Growth and Urbanization in Malaysia, an ARDL approach. Many researchers have studied the increase of carbon emissions in a country, which will give effects to the increase in temperature, especially concern on the increasing carbon dioxide emissions due to increasing economic growth and urbanization of country. The uptrend of economic growth and urbanization have a significant impact on carbon emissions. When the economy accelerated, the level of production will be higher, and this can be a threat to the quality of the environment. This is because productivity increase would contribute to increased emissions and congestion that can lower the quality of life now and then. From here we can see that there's an uptrend of these variables: real GDP, carbon emissions, and urbanization, where we can see that the growth rate of real GDP is 5.86%, while growth rate for the carbon emission is 6.12%, and growth rate for urbanization is 1.71%. Prior studies give some insight on what is greenhouse gas effect and what impact it will give on the environment in order to achieve economic development and urbanization. Dodo, Gustafsson, and Tete 2019 found that economic development has a positive impact on increasing carbon dioxide emissions. By examining the end material used for building systems in China, they investigate how it affects greenhouse gas emissions. Timber is an alternative source to decrease those emissions. Excessive carbon dioxide, which is caused by the industrialization activity in the planet, can give an impact on the increasing GHG emissions. The authors discuss how global warming related to greenhouse gases, which stated that Earth is getting heat, and the main reason is the greenhouse effect because it keeps them warm without letting it up. Ahmad et al. 2020 also found that growth in economics and development is urbanization is the main factor for environmental degradation. By using energy efficiently, it will consume a trivial amount of energy, and that will give a positive impact on decreasing carbon dioxide emissions. For instance, the technology innovation using renewable energy, reducing energy consumption, the pattern of food consumption, innovation in agricultural sectors, and green infrastructure. Therefore, when an organization plays their respective roles to balance between economic development and environmental quality by monitoring the ceiling point of carbon emission, the GHG emission will decrease, which involve the government policies that control the environmental degradation. We have three hypotheses in here. First, a significant dynamic relationship exists between carbon emissions, economic growth, and urbanization in Malaysia. Second, significant long-run elasticities exist between carbon emissions, economic growth, and urbanization in Malaysia. Third, significant short-run elasticities exist between carbon emission, economic growth, and urbanization in Malaysia. The time period of the data is from 1989 to 2020, which is 32 years. Okay. Data source, World Development Indicators, World Bank. We use auto-regressive distributed lag method. A integration methodology proposed by Besaran et al. 2001 is used to assess the existence of the long-term relationship between the variables. Annual data is used in this study to test the relationship between real gross domestic product, GDP, urbanization, and carbon emissions. ARDL bound test is the most suitable method to use to check the dynamic relationship among the variables or small sample size. The optimal lag length K is 4 by using K information criterion AIC. This is our research model. The model is used to conduct the estimation of this study following the basic logarithmic transformational model. This model aims to get an approximate result as follows, where our dependent is carbon emission and independent are GDP and also urbanization. Results and findings. Table 1 shows the bound test result among the variables, namely carbon emissions, economic growth, and urbanization. The result confirms that there is a long-run relationship among the variables. The F statistics is greater than the upper bound, I1, at a 10% significant level. The H null of no co-integration among the variables is rejected at the 1% significant level, as the F statistic is greater than upper bound, I1. Based on figure 1, it is found that carbon emissions gross domestic product is inelastic positive and negative in the short run as well as in the long run at 1% and 5% significant levels. Meanwhile, the carbon emissions urbanization is elastic and has a positive significant impact only in the long run at 1% significant level, such that higher level of urbanization increased carbon emissions in the long run. The result is consistent with Anwar et al. 2020. Furthermore, error correction is negative and significant at 1%, which justifies that any deviations in the model will get back to equilibrium in the long run. The results of diagnostic tests are the serial correlation, function of form, normality, and heteroscedasticity test. Based on figure 2, the cumulative sum of recursive residuals, CUSUM, and cumulative sum of squares of recursive residuals, CUSUM square, plots are used to identify the stability of the long-run parameters and along with the short-run activity for the ARDL model. When the CUSUM and CUSUM square statistic plots remain within the crucial 5% significant level limits, the null hypothesis of all coefficients in the regression given is constant and therefore cannot be rejected. Therefore, from this, we can conclude that the outcomes of the estimated model are accurate and valid. Findings. Most activity of humans is causing the increase of greenhouse gas emissions in the air that we breathe every day. A mixture of factors like economic growth as well as urbanization contribute to carbon emissions. Therefore, this study aims to examine the relationship between carbon emission, economic growth, and urbanization. It is found that there is a long-run relationship between the chosen variables. For the carbon emissions economic growth, there is a positive significant relationship in the short run, while a negative significant relationship in the long run for the 1989-2020 period. Furthermore, urbanization gives a positive significant impact on carbon emissions in the long run. The results show that economic growth and urbanization have a significant impact on carbon emissions. An uptrend of greenhouse gases in the environment will give more negative impacts on the quality of the environment and human health. Such weather extremes like typhoons, landslides, hurricanes, and fast floods affect society, the economy, human health, and others. As we all know, every country in this world is experiencing the negative effects of global warming. To control the greenhouse gas emissions appropriately, the specific actions must be implemented, like the use of renewable energy, use of energy efficient forestry protection, and others. Other than that, it is also really the responsibility of the government and each and every person to reduce carbon emissions and not to use those means that damage the environment. Simple actions like stopping open burning, saving energy consumption, using public transport, and practicing carpooling and wise waste management can reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This means that simple changes in our daily life can give a bigger impact on decreasing carbon dioxide emissions for a better future. Thank you.